Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. The most terrifying kind of power is the one that doesn't need to be seen. That's not a line from a movie villain. It's the silent code Sigma males live by. No spotlight, no podium, no chest-beating dominance display, just raw, controlled intensity hiding in plain sight. Here's a wild fact. According to a behavioral study from Princeton, people are more psychologically unsettled by unpredictable silence than by direct confrontation. Translation? A man who doesn't speak, doesn't flinch, and doesn't compete, but still wins, sets off alarms in the minds of everyone around him, including the so-called alphas. Now ask yourself what happens when that man isn't just quiet, but calculated, unbothered, and utterly fearless. In this video, we're peeling back the mask on 12 terrifying things Sigma males do that no alpha man dares to. Not because Sigmas are trying to dominate the room, but because they've mastered the art of not needing the room at all. And fair warning, these points might make you laugh nervously, question everything you thought about masculinity, and possibly want to become a hermit with purpose. Let's dive in. Number 1, they observe for months before making a move, then strike surgically. Sigma males don't just make moves, they study first, silently, obsessively, and with a kind of eerie precision that throws people off. While alpha males often rush in to assert dominance and claim territory, Sigma males do the opposite. They watch. For days, weeks, sometimes even months. They scan everything, the way people talk, react under pressure, lie without blinking, and flex their egos when they think no one's paying attention. But the Sigma is paying attention. Always. What makes this terrifying is how surgical their action is once they decide to move. They don't come in loud or aggressive. They strike in a way that's so calculated it feels unfair, like they knew every possible move before the game even began. People aren't used to this. Most expect either chaos or charm, not quiet precision. But Sigmas don't announce, they don't warn. They act like strategists playing five-dimensional chess while everyone else is playing checkers blindfolded. It gets worse, because the Sigma isn't just analyzing situations, he's analyzing you. While you're talking, he's studying the patterns in your speech, the inconsistencies in your logic, and the emotions behind what you're pretending not to feel. He remembers your tells, your weaknesses, your fake confidence, and stores it without ever writing a word down. So when he finally speaks or acts, it cuts deep. Not because he's being cruel, but because he's being precise. He knows exactly where to aim and exactly when. People get spooked by this because it's not just intelligence, it's strategic patience. In a world where everyone's racing to be seen first, Sigmas scare the hell out of others by being the only ones willing to wait in the shadows until the timing is perfect. And by the time they move, the whole situation is in their hands, and everyone else is wondering how they didn't see it coming. This is the real reason Sigmas are feared. They don't just beat you, they outthink you in silence, wait until you're comfortable, then move in a way that makes your entire strategy feel childish. And they'll do it with no need for applause, no interest in bragging, and no warning whatsoever. That's not confidence, that's control, and it's terrifying. Number 2, they refuse to compete and still win. Sigma males aren't interested in being the best in the room because they've already decided the room isn't worth competing in. While alpha males are busy locking horns, chasing validation, or trying to prove who's king of the hill, the Sigma quietly walks away from the hill entirely and builds his own. What makes this terrifying is that, without participating in the race, he still ends up ahead. Not because he outpaced anyone, but because he chose a different track altogether and mastered it in silence. It drives people crazy, especially alphas, because the Sigma's refusal to compete feels like an insult to the very system they thrive on. Alphas need rivals, applause, confrontation. Sigmas don't. They don't care if you win. They don't care if you're louder, richer, or more followed. They're not avoiding the competition out of fear. They're avoiding it because they see it as a distraction. And nothing is scarier than a man who sees your entire game and simply declines to play. Even worse, the Sigma keeps winning anyway. He gets respect without asking for it. He attracts attention by ignoring it. He builds success in quiet places while everyone else is too busy showing off to notice. He's not trying to dominate you. He's just so focused on his own world that people can't help but notice. And that kind of effortless power, it rattles people to their core. There's no playbook for dealing with someone who doesn't compete but somehow comes out ahead. You can't argue with them, challenge them, or even intimidate them because they're not playing your game. They're not even in your arena. They're somewhere else entirely, building silently, living freely, and succeeding without any need for dominance. And that's what makes Sigma males so unnerving. They don't need to beat you to win, they just need to be true to themselves, and in doing that, they shatter the entire structure that alpha personalities live by. No race, no rivals, just quiet mastery that renders competition irrelevant. And when someone wins without needing anyone to lose, it leaves people speechless and terrified. Number 3, they can abandon anything instantly, even what they love. Sigma males have a brutal superpower. They can walk away from anything, even something they deeply love, if it starts costing them who they are. Most people talk about letting go, but when it's time to actually do it, they cling to the job that gives them status, to the relationship that makes them feel wanted, to the dream that no longer fits who they've become. Alpha males, in particular, are wired to hold on, because power, pride, and position are fuel for their identity. But for Sigmas, if it's not aligned with their core self, they'll drop it mid-sentence and never look back. And the part that unnerves people the most, they don't spiral afterwards. There's no dramatic breakdown, no endless venting, just silence and forward motion. Their detachment isn't heartless, it's surgical. They've trained themselves to choose growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, peace over passion. Even if it hurts, even if it leaves them with nothing but their own 2 hands, they'd rather lose everything than lose themselves. That's not emotional numbness. That's spiritual strength. People who define success by what they have can't process this. To them, walking away looks like failure. To the Sigma, walking away is sometimes the greatest victory, because he's not attached to outcomes, he's committed to authenticity. If a woman he loves starts playing mind games, he's gone. If a job pays well but chips away at his integrity, he resigns. If a lifelong goal no longer excites his soul, he scraps it and starts over. No explanation, no begging, no war, just clean exits that leave people stunned. That's what makes the Sigma so unnerving. He's unpredictable, not because he's reckless, but because he's too grounded to be trapped. You can't blackmail him with money. You can't keep him with praise. You can't control him with guilt. When he decides something no longer serves who he's becoming, it's already over. And to people addicted to control, validation, and security, that kind of freedom is terrifying, because deep down they know they couldn't walk away even if they wanted to. But the Sigma can, and he will. Number 4, they make peace look dangerous. When a Sigma male is calm, it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like something's about to explode. But nothing explodes. That's the unnerving part. His stillness isn't empty, it's charged. Every quiet second is filled with memory, restraint, calculation, and a kind of suppressed power that doesn't need to prove itself. People sense it even if they can't explain it. It's the kind of calm that makes you hesitate before speaking. The kind that makes even the loudest alpha suddenly question his own dominance. While alpha males often assert control through volume, energy, and presence, the Sigma flips the script. He doesn't need noise. He doesn't need to raise his voice or even speak at all. His silence says, I've seen more than you think. I've felt more than I show, and I'm not here to play games. And it rattles people, because in a room full of people reacting, performing, defending, and posturing, he's just still, focused, unshakable. It's not indifference, it's something far more dangerous. It's awareness mixed with self-control, and that combination makes everyone uncomfortable. People don't know how to respond to a man who doesn't flinch. They're used to arguments escalating, emotions spilling over, someone snapping. But the Sigma doesn't snap, he absorbs. And when he finally does speak or act, it's sharp, deliberate, and impossible to recover from. That's why his calm feels like a threat. Not because he's trying to scare anyone, but because people instinctively fear what they can't read or predict. They don't know if he's going to walk away or dismantle everything with a single sentence. The terrifying part is that he's made peace with himself so thoroughly that external chaos can't pull him off center. That inner stillness makes people second-guess their own. Because they realize if he can stay this composed, even in the middle of madness, maybe he's not the calm before the storm. Maybe he is the storm, just not the kind that announces itself. So when the Sigma male stands quietly while the world spirals, That silence is deafening and dangerous. Number 5. They don't argue, they exit. Alphas will fight to be right. Sigma males don't waste energy proving a point to people committed to misunderstanding them. If you come at them with ego, drama, or circular logic, they won't engage. They'll just leave. No warning, no fireworks, just silence. And that silence is louder than any argument could ever be. While alpha males thrive on confrontation, debating, dominating, demanding the last word, the Sigma sees all that as emotional noise. He doesn't argue because he doesn't need to win. He only needs his peace. And if keeping his peace means walking away from a conversation, a connection, or even a long-standing bond, he will. This shakes people. They're so used to power being loud that when it shows up in silence, it throws them off completely. They expect anger. The Sigma gives them absence. They expect insults. He gives them space. There's no shouting, no explanation, no desperate need to be understood, just a quiet exit that makes the other person suddenly question the weight of his presence. And it stings, because by the time they realize what he meant, he's long gone. What people don't realize is that arguing often inflates the ego. It becomes less about truth and more about winning. Sigma males aren't interested in ego battles. They don't need to convince you they're right. If you're emotionally immature, they'll sense it quickly, and instead of trying to fix you or engage you, they'll withdraw completely. Not because they're cold, but because they refuse to be dragged into pointless emotional loops. That quiet exit hits harder than any angry goodbye. It doesn't feel like rejection, it feels like a mirror. You're left staring at the empty space they once occupied, realizing they weren't trying to win you over. They were trying to see if you were even worth staying for. And if you weren't, they left without a sound. And that's what terrifies people. The Sigma male doesn't just leave the conversation, he leaves the dynamic, no drama, no begging. Just a vanishing act that feels like a gut punch to anyone who thought they had control. Because the truth is, you never had control. The Sigma just let you think you did until he didn't. Number 6. They're loyal without being possessive. Sigma males don't do possessiveness. They don't need to constantly remind you that you're theirs. And they sure as hell don't monitor your every move to feel secure. Their love isn't about ownership, it's about freedom. But don't mistake that freedom for indifference. Their loyalty runs deep. It's just buried in quiet action, not loud declarations. They won't post it, they won't parade it. But they'll go to war for you behind the scenes, and you might not even know it until the dust settles. While alpha males tend to guard their relationships like trophies, showing the world they can protect what's theirs, Sigma males don't feel the need to show anything. If they care about you, they'll let you roam free, but they're always watching from the edge, not in a controlling way, more like a silent sentinel. And if something or someone threatens you, they won't confront it with ego or attention. They'll neutralize the threat with eerie precision, in total silence. No drama, no chest puffing, just swift, unseen action. This kind of loyalty is unsettling for people because it doesn't come with the usual emotional signals. There's no jealousy, no clinginess, no public flex. So people don't know where they stand with a Sigma until something serious happens. And when it does, the Sigma's protection is sudden, strategic, and a little scary. You don't see it coming, and that unpredictability makes people uneasy. Because while everyone's busy performing their relationships, the Sigma is out there moving in the dark, fixing things, cutting off threats, making sure you're safe without needing a thank you. And the strangest part? They expect nothing in return, no loyalty tests, no praise, no emotional payback. That kind of detached devotion makes people nervous, especially those used to love that comes with strings attached. With a Sigma, the loyalty is real, but the leash doesn't exist. They don't protect you to own you. They protect you because they chose you. And if one day you walk away, they'll let you. No begging, no chasing, just acceptance. That's what makes it terrifying. You don't know whether to be grateful or afraid because you've never met someone so loyal and yet so unafraid to lose you. Number 7, they will end a relationship the moment it becomes performative. Sigma males have zero tolerance for fake love. The moment a relationship stops being real and starts feeling like a performance, they're out. No long talks, no dragging things on, no pretending for the sake of image. They don't care how long it's been, who's watching, or what they might lose. If the connection stops being genuine, if it turns into a game of look how perfect we are or don't embarrass me in public, they'll leave without blinking. To them, staying in something empty just to keep up appearances is a form of self-betrayal. Unlike alpha males who might cling to a relationship because it feeds their pride, status, or reputation, sigma males aren't interested in maintaining illusions. They don't care if the world thinks you're the power couple of the year. If they feel emotionally manipulated, disrespected, or like the bond is now more about optics than substance, they'll walk, and they won't look back. Not because they're cold, but because fake intimacy is more suffocating to them than being alone. They also don't play emotional games. If your version of love involves jealousy traps, guilt trips, silent punishments, or constant testing, they won't try to fix you. They'll exit quietly, efficiently. And when they do, it leaves people stunned because most are used to drama, drawn-out fights, or pleading. But the Sigma won't argue about why the vibe is off. He felt it, he respected himself enough to leave, and that's it. End of story. This kind of brutal honesty in relationships freaks people out, especially those who rely on emotional manipulation to keep someone close. You can't emotionally blackmail a Sigma. You can't bait him into a fight, and you definitely can't trap him in a toxic loop of fake love just to keep up appearances. He'd rather be alone in truth than together in lies. And that's what terrifies people, because deep down they know how many of their relationships survive on performance and image, and the Sigma simply won't play that role. His presence is real, but so is his absence. The moment it all starts feeling staged, he vanishes, and all that's left is a mirror, forcing people to see just how much of their love was only for show. Number 8, they outthink, outfeel, and outsurvive, all quietly. Sigmas don't talk about what they're going through. They don't post cryptic quotes, call attention to their pain, or ask anyone to rescue them. When life punches them in the face, they take the hit, go underground, and start rebuilding in total silence. And what terrifies people the most? They come back stronger, smarter, and more refined, without ever asking for sympathy. It's not just that they survive hardship, it's how they do it, with an unsettling level of grace and quiet focus. While alpha males often narrate their comeback stories, needing applause along the way, Sigmas disappear. You won't hear from them. You'll think they fell off. Then out of nowhere they reappear. New skill set, new mindset, new level. No explanations, no announcements, just results. And it stuns people, because they never saw the struggle, never witnessed the rebuild, and never imagined someone could come back from the dark without broadcasting every step. Sigmas process pain differently. They feel it fully, but they don't turn it into a spectacle. They reflect, internalize, and extract brutal lessons from their failures. And because they're deeply introspective, they don't just bounce back, they evolve. They don't want to return to who they were. They want to outgrow the version of themselves that allowed that downfall in the first place. That kind of self-discipline is rare, and it rattles people who only know how to grow with external validation. What's even scarier is how sharp their emotional radar becomes after pain. Sigmas don't just survive, they outfeel. They develop an uncanny ability to read energy, sense intentions, and detect insincerity. It's not paranoia, it's precision, shaped by every cut they've endured. And they don't wear those scars as trophies, they wear them as armor, silently. They're always watching, learning, adjusting, no panic, no pity parties, just quiet recalibration. And by the time people realize what's happening, it's already done. The Sigma has not only bounced back, he's outpaced everyone quietly. That's why they're feared, because you can't track their growth, anticipate their moves, or measure their strength through noise. They don't brag, they build. And when they rise from the ashes without asking anyone for a match, it makes everyone who needs an audience feel exposed. Number 9, they call out power, even if it costs them everything. Sigma males don't play nice with power, they dissect it. While most people, especially alphas, know when to stay quiet, nod politely, and protect their position, Sigmas do the exact opposite. They call out hypocrisy at the top, challenge systems built on fear, and speak the truth that makes everyone else shift in their seats. Not because they want attention, but because they refuse to be complicit. They'd rather lose status, friendships, and opportunities than bite their tongue for comfort. And that kind of truth-telling unnerves people, especially those who are used to controlling the narrative. Sigmas don't care who's in charge if that person's corrupt, manipulative, or full of it. They'll call them out in front of a crowd or in a one-on-one conversation with the same calm boldness. It's not emotional, it's surgical, And what makes it terrifying is they do it knowing exactly what it'll cost them. Maybe their job, maybe their place in a group, maybe their safety, but they do it anyway. Because their loyalty isn't to the structure, the leader, or the applause. Their loyalty is to the truth, even if it burns every bridge on the way out. Alphas are strategic. They know how to kiss the right rings and play the long game. Sigmas, they'll flip the whole table over if the game is rigged. Not out of rebellion for the sake of chaos, but because they've seen what happens when power goes unchecked. And they're not about to stay silent just to protect someone's ego. They'll walk into the lion's den with a matchstick and no backup if it means exposing the lie. And here's the kicker. They don't need a following. They don't rally troops or ask for a movement. They speak up alone. That kind of solo courage terrifies people, especially those whose power depends on obedience and silence. Because the Sigma doesn't just disrupt power, he exposes its foundations. And when someone's willing to torch the ladder instead of climb it, everyone starts wondering whether the whole system was just smoke and mirrors to begin with. That's why Sigmas get exiled. That's why they're feared, because they don't play the game. They rewrite the rules, even if it means playing alone in the aftermath. Number 10, they intimidate without saying a word. There's something deeply unsettling about a man who can dominate a room without saying a single word. That's the Sigma male. He walks in, says nothing, and yet the energy shifts. People start adjusting their posture. Conversations slow down, eyes glance over more than once, trying to figure him out. But you can't figure him out, because he's not there to impress, perform, or be understood. His silence isn't shy or awkward, it's intentional, it's laced with observation, restraint, and unspoken judgment, and people feel it. What makes this so intimidating is that he's not trying to be intimidating. He's just deeply self-contained. You can't read him, you can't provoke him. You can't even tell if he's amused or disgusted by you. And that lack of emotional display drives ego-driven personalities insane, especially alphas who are used to feeding off reactions. The Sigma gives them nothing. No smile, no nod, no approval. Just that calm, unreadable stare that says, I see everything and I'm not impressed. When a Sigma male watches, it doesn't feel like someone being polite. It feels like someone silently assessing your soul, and that's why people get uncomfortable, not because he's being rude, but because he sees through the noise, through the performance, through the fakeness. And he doesn't blink, he doesn't flinch, he just keeps observing, like he's already seen 100 versions of you before and knows exactly how your story ends. Even loud, dominant alphas start shrinking a little around Sigmas, because they're not used to someone who doesn't try to challenge them, but still makes them feel challenged. It's not the presence of threat, it's the absence of validation, and that hits deeper than any verbal jab ever could. You can't win against a Sigma in the usual ways. You can't out-talk him, out-flex him, or emotionally trigger him. His silence does all the work. His lack of interest is what rattles you. And by the time you realize how heavy his stillness feels, it's already taken over the room. That's the power of a Sigma. No volume, no theatrics, just pure, controlled presence that commands attention without needing to ask for it. Number 11, they are immune to status, fame, or influence. Status means absolutely nothing to a Sigma male. You could be a billionaire, a celebrity, or a global icon, and if your presence reeks of ego, he'll tune out or walk out without blinking. Not out of disrespect, but because he sees through the illusion. Titles, fame, and influence don't move him. They don't impress him. He's immune to the social spells most people fall under. While alphas chase recognition like it's oxygen, the Sigma sees it as noise, a distraction from authenticity. And that shakes people, especially those who live for attention. In a world obsessed with clout, the Sigma is a walking contradiction. He could be in a room where everyone's bragging about what they drive, who they know, or what they've accomplished, and instead of being dazzled, he's disinterested. He's not there to climb the social ladder. He's there to see if anyone's actually real. And when he senses it's all posturing and flexing, he detaches quietly, instantly. You won't get a speech, you'll just feel the absence of someone who refused to play along. That kind of indifference is terrifying to people whose identity is tied to being admired. When a Sigma doesn't react, they feel exposed. It's like their entire performance landed on deaf ears. And that's the Sigma's quiet power. He doesn't fight you, but his lack of admiration feels like a rejection, a brutal, silent rejection that says, you're not as powerful as you think, you just know how to make noise. And it's not just about ignoring external power, it's about the Sigma's obsession with internal sovereignty. He doesn't want to be above people, he wants to be free from them, free from needing their approval, their applause, their attention. That level of independence is rare and unsettling, especially to those who use influence to control others. When someone can't be seduced by status, flattered by fame, or manipulated by power, they become uncontrollable, unpredictable, dangerous to the system. That's the Sigma male. While others are hypnotized by prestige, he sees the man behind the mask. And if that man is insecure, shallow, or arrogant, the Sigma disengages completely. And nothing terrifies a room full of powerful people more than someone who sees straight through them and simply doesn't care. Number 12, they're kind, but in a way that feels dangerous. Sigma males don't do performative kindness. There's no sugarcoating, no fake smiles, no kindness as currency. When they're kind, it's unsettlingly genuine. They're kind because they choose to be, not because they need to impress, manipulate, or be liked. That kind of raw, unfiltered kindness throws people off because it's so rare. Most are used to kindness with strings attached. From Sigmas, it comes with nothing except the unsettling feeling that beneath that calm, gracious exterior is someone who could absolutely wreck you if you push the wrong button. This is what confuses people, because when a Sigma male helps you, listens to you, or defends you, it feels incredibly real. No ego, no agenda. But at the same time, you can sense the discipline behind it, the restraint. It's like watching a man feed a bird with one hand while holding a sword behind his back. He's not dangerous because he's aggressive. He's dangerous because he's capable and in full control of it. Most people mistake kindness for softness. With Sigmas, it's the opposite. Their kindness is a choice, not a default setting. That means they could easily do the opposite and choose not to care, not to help, not to spare you. And when you sense that quiet capability, that edge just under the surface, it makes their kindness feel heavy, intense, even intimidating. It's not manipulative, it's just powerful. Because a Sigma male's kindness comes from deep understanding, not weakness. He's likely been through hell, seen the worst in people, and chosen to be good anyway. That kind of goodness isn't naive. It's tested, hardened, and that's why it rattles people, because they realize this isn't someone trying to be liked. This is someone who's already made peace with being misunderstood and still chooses mercy over malice. But make no mistake, if you mistake that kindness for weakness, you won't get a second warning. The same energy that forgave you could erase you just as effortlessly. And that paradox, being embraced by someone who's terrifyingly capable of destruction, leaves people unsure whether to get closer or keep their distance. Because deep down they know they're not dealing with a harmless man. They're dealing with a disciplined one. So, when you strip away the noise, the flexing, the hierarchy games, what's left standing in eerie silence is the Sigma male. Not because he pushed others down to rise, but because he never played the game to begin with. He doesn't intimidate with loudness, but with presence. He doesn't lead by commanding you to follow, but by making it impossible not to. He doesn't chase power, yet power somehow keeps orbiting him. And that's what unsettles people the most. His existence breaks the rules they've built their whole identity on. Sigma males are the quiet storm you never saw coming, the ones who vanish when things get shallow, only to return 10 levels higher, calm and unreadable. They don't beg for respect. They carry themselves in a way that makes you question your own. They're kind without being weak, detached without being heartless, focused without being flashy, and when they do act, it's so surgical, so unpredictable that everyone else is left scrambling to understand how they never saw it coming. This isn't about dominance, it's about depth. And the deeper you go into understanding the Sigma male, the more you realize he's not here to compete with alphas. He's here to render the whole competition irrelevant. If you felt every word hit different, if the silence of the Sigma spoke louder than all the noise you're used to, then don't just scroll past. Hit that subscribe button like someone who's done with shallow content and ready for the real stuff. Like this video if you respect power that doesn't scream for attention. Comment below, tell us which Sigma move shocked you the most or which one lives inside you. We want to hear from the ones who get it. And most importantly, share this with someone who's still stuck in the echo chamber, the one chasing clout, playing roles, or flexing for followers. It's time they met the energy that doesn't compete, but still wins. Because this channel, it's not for the loud, it's for the legendary.